Two murders, two young women, bodies desecrated, little evidence pointing to a valid suspect. These are the circumstances the detectives at the heart of Bong Joon-ho's 2003 thriller Memories of Murder find themselves facing as the film opens. A small-town police force is unequipped to handle investigating such brutal acts. Police officers throw up when confronted with dead bodies, and evidence is faked to cover up ineptitudes. The evidence isn't what matters, believes Detective Park Do-man, played by regular Bong collaborator Song Kang-ho. It's his eyes, he explains, that are crucial to solving the case. He claims to have the ability to look into the eyes of anyone and instantly tell whether they are innocent or guilty. He has the eyes of a shaman. A bumbling police force can't cope with the rising tension of crimes high above their expertise and eventually clash with Detective Seo Tae-yoon, a volunteer from Seoul who questions their outdated methods and doesn't fit in with their small-town culture. Detective Park's superstition that he's able to act as both judge and jury simply by staring into the eyes of an accused party is laughable to Detective Seo, who instead puts his faith into empirical evidence. This could be the setup for a generic buddy cop film. Big city and small town clash, eventually learning to work together for the greater good to catch the bad guy. Along the way, new respect for each other's way of life is forged, and everyone, including the audience, goes home happy and satisfied. Except, Memories of Murder is not a classic buddy cop film. Memories of Murder has one crucial element contributing to the overall structure, so deeply ingrained in the narrative that it immediately kills any hope for this neat Hollywood resolution. The rape and murder of 10 women, spanning the years between 1986 and 1991, characterized a period of horror for the nation of Korea. Considered South Korea's first official serial murder case, the Hwasong serial murders created a national trauma within an already traumatic period of history that resonated with generations who weren't alive to experience it firsthand long after the discovery of the last body. The film can be credited with helping to maintain this generational trauma surrounding the murders, as well as revitalizing interest in the case and prompting demand for continued investigation. The uselessness of the detectives, coupled with a governmental system that seemed almost dead set on doing as little as possible to help, proved to be a point of major frustration for both Bong and the public he addressed. "I felt a strong desire to meet the killer," Bong stated in an interview when discussing the research he prepared prior to filming. "I even prepared a list of 20 questions I wanted to ask him, like, who are you? Are you happy? Do you remember the women you killed?" Into recent history, no person has been able to ask those questions. Prior to the identity of the killer finally coming to light, 15 years after Memories of Murder's initial release, no one was able to address him at all. No one could look him in the eye, telling him, "I know who you are and what you did." But when working in a medium that allows for direct address on a national scale, is that really true? To know, we need only look to the closing minutes of the film. Memories of Murder ends just as it begins. On a serene provincial road, golden light reflected off the rice paddy field. Detective Park, since retired from the force and now working as a salesman, has stopped to visit the place where his professional involvement in the serial killings began decades prior. He walks down the road, shedding the jacket that serves as a reminder for his new life as a salaryman. Slowly approaching the darkened ditch in which the body was originally discovered, a sense of dread builds. The audience asks themselves, what if it's happening again? What if the police force's inability to put a stop to the crime has left the killer free to now pick up where he left off? What if there's a new body, lying in the dark, waiting to be discovered? Bong takes more time with this approach to the ditch than in the scene's mirrored opening. Park bends to look, and the camera, painfully slowly, pulls back from his face until a cross-cut reveals the ditch for what it truly is. Empty. Park's trauma is that of the nation, like a father checking for monsters under his young child's bed. Suddenly, like a visit from a spirit, Puck is no longer alone on the road. A young girl stands and watches, letting him know his behavior is strange, but not unfamiliar. Another man has come recently, she tells him, looking at the same spot. He told her he remembered doing something here, so he came back to take a look. What follows this is a peaceful moment of silence, the implication of her words fully sinking in for both Puck and the audience as a shot of the beautiful day contrasts the suddenly stormy shift in mood. "Did you see his face?" Puck asks. She has. Finally, after so many years without, he's found a witness who can give a proper account. Maybe this isn't over, the audience is allowed to believe. Maybe she's been the key all along. It just wasn't yet time for her to unlock. The answer she gives, however, cements this scene both in the memory of the viewer and in the collective memory of a nation still in mourning. He's ordinary. A plain man, not unlike your fellow theater patrons as you gather together to watch. Puck embodies the trauma of an imagined national community, but at the same time is a representative of the very system that failed to protect the victims. In the film's closing moments, he turns his shaman eyes to the camera. To the members of the national community demanding answers, he looks to them. To those suddenly questioning the faces of anyone plain and unfamiliar, he looks to them as well. But perhaps, beyond community, he is looking more directly than any other metatextual address need do. Pong cites this as one of the motivations behind the shot. Memories of a Murder was the second highest grossing film in South Korea in the year 2003. Maybe the true killer, in step with his national community, would go to the theater and watch it. Maybe, years after the killings, someone was finally awarded the chance to say hello. I see you.